So,
Yeah, man.
I have a question.
Shoot.
What did you do to prepare for today? I see you maybe got a beard trim.
I had a haircut and a beard trim earlier in the week because
Yeah.
when I came in to have the lovely and talented Deb Zoller work on me, I didn't want her to do too much because there's, there's only so much she could do.
I got a manicure.
Are you kidding me?
No, and I know this
Do you get a manicure?
I did, yeah. And this could be a little over the top, but I got a pedicure too, just in case somebody asked me to take my shoes off.
How are your feet?
You don't really want to see them.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
You got a pedicure, and would you be willing to show your feet, or are you going on like a beach vacation somewhere?
If we start to flag today,
You're going to break your feet out?
I could show my feet, and that'll kind of
I
pick
used to
things
be
up.
proud of my feet.
Yeah.
Ooh, my feet. My poor, poor feet.
Let me ask you something.
You bet your life a waitress earns her pay.
I'm going to ask you something.
Okay.
And
Are
I want you
gonna
to know, by the way.
You got that serious voice.
Yeah, I want you to know that before I ask a question, ever, I
right.
always say, let me ask you something.
Yeah, I've noticed.
That's so to prepare you that I'm going to ask you a question.
And do you think I hear that, or anybody hears that, and then and changes how they're going to respond? I'm going to ask you a question.
Yeah.
Do you say, let me ask you a question, or say, I'm going to
Let me ask you a question.
Go ahead.
Or can I ask you a question?
Sure. Or the people say this, anything.
Yeah.
You know what you said in the promo, which I liked, was, we'll talk to anybody,
Well, that's true.
as long as their stories are good. That's still true.
Yes, of course.
Let's see how it goes today.
So, should we just, we've got somebody coming in right now, our very first guest. We're very pleased to have him. And,
He really needs no introduction.
well, we don't want to tell you who it is, but we're going to give you a little clue, okay? Goes like this. Butterfly in the sky, I can go twice as high. Take a look, it's in a book, Reading Rainbow.
Dropping names and other things where the whiskey flows and the laughter sings. Pull up a seat, join the game. The Brent and Johnny Podcast Show.
We could redo the song after he leaves.
Yeah. It was sad. It was so sad.
We
It
can
was a
redo
little
it.
maudlin, but
We can-
you know what? I figured
Butterfly in the sky.
That's not the
Take
melody
a
either.
look, it's in a book.
Aren't you sick of
Reading
people stop you at the airport and singing?
yeah, they do.
Yeah.
They do.
But you never want them to stop.
I don't. I don't, and I don't tire of it really. It's reflective of the fact that they really appreciate the show and the impact that it's had on their lives.
Yeah.
You know? Cats.
Let
This
me-
is.
This
Can I
is-
just say?
Yes.
This is awesome.
Thank you.
This is so cool.
There was never any question who we wanted to start with.
Really.
Because it was the two of us schmoozing.
Yes.
And we did this for a full day.
But let's
And
be
then-
honest, we've never met before, right?
Not to my knowledge. no.
Okay.
And then we said the only other person we know who would understand the way we're doing this is LeVar. Could we start with LeVar?
Yeah.
And then you said yes.
I'm happy to.
You know
be
the
here.
show is called Dropping Names.
Dropping names.
And other things, the Brent and Johnny show.
Am I a name that to be dropped?
Your name has been dropped. Hold
LeVar
on.
Burton.
Hold on.
There we go.
What
got
I was
dinged.
hoping
Yeah.
Yeah.
was that before we get into your extensive career and the things I remember about you that I love, one of which is that I believe when you were after you had gone to seminary, you went to USC, then you stayed in the Jewish fraternity.
I did.
Then you were in a production of Oklahoma.
I was.
And
From
you
which-
played?
Ali Hakim,
Ali
Hakim.
Hakim.
the Persian rug dealer.
Yeah.
And then got the
Hello, kiddo. How are you? Bill Parker. Damn glad to meet you.
How you didn't go to Broadway with that, I don't know.
You know, it was the production at USC was directed by Ernie Saracen, who did Ali Hakim on
Broadway. And so he kind of like coached you?
He did.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, he did.
I didn't see. There's a detail I didn't know. But in the spirit of the show, I found out early on in our relationship, after you talked me into buying those expensive shoes. You know, when I went to Side of War with LeVar, have you heard this story?
No.
I tried on a pair of, were they
They were expensive.
alligator
Yes, they
skin
were.
loafers? I said, I can't afford these. He said, Jonathan, you can. We have a TV show.
You're on a TV
And
show.
I
now.
wore those shoes
on a
for
TV show.
years and years.
I remember buying a pair of shoes one time, again, it was very similar to that. It was a pair of shoes I would never dream of buying. Really cool loafers that I got from Fred Siegel, and LeVar came over and I showed them to him, and LeVar said, "Oh, I want to marry those shoes."
You've always been our sartorial.
Do you
spirit.
remember when every year I would buy a new pair of white bucks
Of course.
Oh, yeah.
and wear them?
And then I got it dirty.
And then you would make it your thing to step on them and
Because
make,
I'm 13 years old, in spite of being 73. I wanted to go back to The Hunter.
okay. Ooh.
Because of-
let's just say that, can we just like do this quick wrap that since you're the first guest, this is the first show,
Right.
The show's called Dropping Names because that's what we want to do here.
And
It's
when
like,
you do drop a name,
Yes.
like from The Hunter,
Yeah, Steve McQueen. We get a bell.
yeah,
An angel get its wings.
exactly,
All right.
that too. But the idea being that people who have fans of their own, which you have millions of them, are also fans of people, and they get tongue-tied, gobsmacked, whatever,
Absolutely.
when they're on a set or even just meeting them.
Right.
Give us your top guy, and
Steve's.
Yeah.
Steve is really it. I mean, you.
and it was
chose
his
well.
last movie, correct?
We did The Hunter together. It was his last movie. He was amazing to me. First time I met him was in his garage. He and Ali McGraw
Of course.
were.
for God's sakes, and, yeah, please.
They were living in a house on the Pacific Coast Highway in Malibu, and literally, when I got there, he had his head under the hood of some hot rod
fancy
or other,
hot rod.
and drinking a Bud, which was his beer of choice. Yeah.
I knew when you said he had his head under, I was like, I didn't know where you were going with that, but
Because he had already mentioned Ali McGraw. I get it.
exactly.
She was in the house.
Yeah.
Who else was in that movie?
Eli Wallach.
Wow. Eli Wallach, Ben
Wait.
Johnson.
Who?
Ben Johnson.
Johnson. Wow.
Let's see. The lovely Catherine Harold.
Catherine Harold.
Who I was on The Doctors with.
You were?
Oh, you know who she was married to?
Who know who replaced her on The Doctors?
No.
Kathleen Turner.
Wow. Catherine Harold
Was married to
Lawrence O'Donnell. Yeah.
See, the names are just.
They
Oh,
just
yeah, I was gonna
keep
say
rolling.
Lawrence
That's the
Lawrence
whole idea.
doesn't
Bell is
get
gonna
a
be a pain
bell.
in the ass.
Lawrence
The bell is
O'Donnell.
going to be
Yeah.
a fucking runner that's going to save this show.
All right.
That's what the show is about. The bell.
But what did McQueen call you?
Birdie.
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 And what do I call you?
Birdie.
What do I call you?
Yeah.
Birdie.
Hey, what do you call me?
Spine.
Exactly.
What do you call me?
My ally.
Oh, he's my ally. Don't you love that?
I do.
Do we have that?
Yeah, we do. I do love that. Yeah. Who else was in The Hunter? I mean, it was amazing to know the history that Steve had with these men, right?
Oh,
With
from
Eli
other
Wallach.
movies?
Yeah.
Magnificent Seven.
Magnificent Seven,
right.
Ben Johnson, 100 movies,
Probably Nevada Smith.
Nevada Smith.
Yeah.
It just and to be there, and me.
Yeah.
And
were
me.
you just
How
blown
old you were
away?
a kid?
Yeah.
I was 19. Yeah.
Could you just believe you were in the presence of these people?
I could not.
Yeah.
I could not.
And was this before Looking for Mr. Goodbar?
This was after. Looking for Mr. Goodbar was my third job. There was Roots, and then a TV movie for PBS called Almost a Man, a short story by Richard Wright. And then
It's going to get tedious. I know it is. But he insists.
So far.
So far.
Are you
it's-
happy with the bell?
I like the bell so far, but we've been
LeVar, what
going
do you
for
think
all
of
of
the bell?
10 minutes.
I'm loving the bell
Thank
so
you.
far.
All right.
I would say that a more
Vicious
judicious.
bell.
You think Richard
was-
Wright was on the border?
No. I like Richard Wright.
If they're top 10 gets the bell, right?
Certainly. I'm waiting to see who you're talking about from Mr. Goodbar.
Well, the lovely Diane Keaton, Oliver Shalom.
Oliver Shalom.
Yeah, we love
And
Diane.
I was, indeed, and in fact, the first man to kick Richard Gere's ass on camera.
All
What about
right.
Richard Kiley?
Richard Kiley, no.
But that's impressive. Well, going back to McQueen just for a moment.
Yeah, please.
He liked you?
He did.
Yeah. What's the deal with that?
I don't know.
Did he treat you? Was that like a father-son, or was he old enough to be like a grandfather? son?
Well, it was like an older brother. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
And
Like
he
an older
invited you
brother.
to his house?
He did. Oh yeah.
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 Is that when you went under the hood?
Yes.
When you found him under the hood?
Yeah. Drinking bud.
I love that story.
Well, Dolores, my ex-manager Dolores Robinson,
Yeah.
was very good friends with Ali McGraw.
Ooh.
And that's kind of how that happened. But so the role
But
that
you had been cast.
well, I was invited into the cast by Steve
Oh.
Before or after this meeting?
immediately thereafter. Well, actually, he had probably made up his mind.
This
See,
was-
the part that I played was originally a dog, a pet.
Let's start with
You
that.
know, really.
Yeah.
And did you have to, what was the audition like?
But Steve wanted me in the movie. He really liked my work in Roots, I suppose, and he just thought, let me give the kid a leg up.
Wow.
And so that role was shifted.
So it went from
changed
being from a dog
to
you.
to me.
So
but the
based
dog
on-
didn't fix shit like my character did.
Right.
The
So
dog
would
was
you
not-
say the meeting was like what they called a chemistry meeting?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
You ever had one of those?
No. You know what else I haven't had? You ever read where certain actors are circling a role? I've never circled a role. Have you? Have you ever circled a
I'm
role?
not sure what that means.
I don't know. Do you read that though? Have you seen that? This person is
It means
circling
they're trying
that.
to make a deal, doesn't it?
I think what it means is they've already made the deal, and they're going to do the movie, but somehow it hasn't been released, so they're circling it.
Let me say this about circling.
Yeah.
Because my interpretation of circling is that the actor is making up his or her mind.
Right.
Circling
Yes.
a role is for people that operate at a much higher pay grade than
Yes.
than
Yeah.
So they're considering that among other offers.
among other things, right?
Before I go, I want to circle a role.
Well, don't we all?
Yeah. Well.
Yeah.
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 So, okay, so The Hunter,
Yes.
Steve McQueen. I don't know if it gets any bigger than that, but isn't there Audrey Hepburn somewhere in here too?
There is.
Yeah.
There is.
What was that?
I was in.
Love Jesus.
Yeah. That's worthy of a bell.
I was in. I went to Italy, the summer of '78, to receive the Sorrisi Canzoni Award.
What's that?
It's like the Italian Emmy right?
For Roots?
for Roots. Yeah, and given by Canale 5, Channel 5, who at the time was being run by Silvio Berlusconi, who eventually became the prime minister. Silvio Berlusconi
Became Prime Minister of
of Italy later on. I still have a watch that I got from Berlusconi.
Wow.
I love. I'm getting new stuff.
I'm telling
I didn't
you.
know about you.
I'm about a watch. Anyway, I was supposed to be there for a week, and I ended up staying for 3 months. I just fell in love with Italy. It was my first time there. And
And you learned in that 3 months to speak Italian.
a little bit.
You
yeah.
really, I've heard you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My accent's pretty good.
Your accent's
my
very
vocabulary could use some
It's like 6-7 words, but they really sounded authentic.
Italian.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Certo.
Yeah.
You are one of the great fast speakers in the history of film and television.
Thank you.
And-
I consider that high praise coming
Well,
from you
For-
because
I'm
you,
always asked about the being on the show together.
Yeah.
Star Trek, by the way. What's it like to have to learn all those lines? I said I didn't have to learn all those lines. That was LeVar and Brent. Got most of the technobabble.
he had
I had a lot
large
of it.
chunks of it. I had
yeah.
I had paragraphs and with a couple of hard
But your
words in there.
articulation and your eloquence and your choices and at such a pace, at such an incredible pace.
And he had not even looked at it the night before, which is really
It's
incredible.
not true.
you,
I
you
had
were
looked
so
at it
You
the
have a
night
photographic
before.
memory?
In those days, my memory was really, really good.
Like Noah. Noah
Not,
can do that now.
I mean, Brent would not go to sleep.
Yeah, I couldn't.
He
Believe
couldn't
me,
go to
I
sleep
know.
unless he had
I
it
lived with him. I
letter,
saw him do it.
letter perfect.
It was
right?
pretzel sticks
I had to,
and
'cause
dialogue.
Mr. Salty's.
We
Mr.
would have
Salty
been there all
pretzel
day
sticks.
if I had known that stuff.
But I had a memory that was facile enough to get a good sense of it the night before.
Right.
Not necessarily letter perfect, but in the morning, looking at it
In the chair?
in the chair, and then through rehearsals. And by the time we started shooting, I was pretty much there.
Boy, because I felt the pressure so hard.
Really?
Oh, I did too.
Because, well, first of all, Patrick had that,
Yeah.
especially in season 1. And it's one of the reasons I believe that we have a reputation in the business for being such assholes on a set. Because all of us were so well prepared. Nobody was stressing between takes of, oh my God, I got to learn.
Right.
Because we showed up
Yeah.
and could roll.
Is that our reputation?
Our reputation is that we were rambunctious, I would say.
Well,
Well,
we were.
that
We
we
were
were.
rambunctious.
That we were.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the trick to some of that stuff that we had to learn, the biggest trick is saying it out loud. You had to say it out loud to get your mouth and your tongue used to wrapping itself
Exactly.
around words.
And don't you wish writers, when you run into a tough line, had read it
Yeah,
out loud,
out loud.
in the room?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But we had guest stars, really good actors who would do a scene and they'd go up again and again and again, and they get so mad at themselves and they think, but I knew this last night. And they did, but they hadn't said it out loud, so their mouths didn't know it.
What a lot of guest stars didn't understand was that the dialogue, the language that we used in Star Trek was its own thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not just the technobabble, but I guess the syntax.
The
that,
heightened syntax.
The heightened
Yeah.
syntax. It was like learning Shakespeare on a
And
different
that's
level.
one of the reasons Rick Berman, who was a producer on our show and ran the show, essentially, was so strict about us not being able to make any changes.
No improvisation
Yeah.
at all.
Ever.
No.
Ever.
And if you wanted to change a word or a line, you had to call
You had to call it in.
it in and get permission.
I'm going to drop another name, or I'm going to have you drop the name. The connection to Star Trek will be revealed in a moment. This was your co-star on one of my favorite titles of your resume, Dummy, LeVar Dummy Burton. Not to be confused with the Ron LaFleur story, but that's another story
That's
coming
another
up.
story.
Ron LaFleur.
However, in the Ron LaFleur story, I did work with Billy Martin. And
Billy Martin,
The
yeah,
manager-
Billy Martin,
manager of the
the
Yankees.
great
And
manager of
great
the Yankees.
second
But
baseman for the
before that, he was managing the Tigers. Norm Cash and Al Kaline also
all in the
appeared
movie?
line.
in
Wow.
One in a Million, the Ron LaFleur story, as themselves.
Yeah.
Let's go back to Dummy.
Let's go back to Dummy.
Well, why would I ask one thing about the on the floor? Did you have to play? You play? I have never seen it. You actually play?
I do.
Yeah,
I do.
I auditioned for a movie.
Oh, not another
Yeah.
sad audition story. Before you got here, we heard how Amy Poehler turned him down
Yeah.
for a project.
Will Arnett.
And Will Arnett turned him down. And I said,
No, but I auditioned for a movie called Ron LaFleur story. It was the Pete Gray story. And
Who was
Pete
Pete
Gray?
Gray?
Pete Gray was a guy.
that was the problem with the movie.
Well,
Not a lot of people familiar with the story.
well, I'll tell you what. I know that. You know how I know nobody knows?
How?
I didn't get a bell. But Pete Gray was during the war. A lot of players went into the service, and so they were
Talking World War II.
World War II, yeah. And so Bill Veeck, who
Oh,
ran
wow.
the Chicago White Sox,
That's right.
did all kinds
Brought
of
clowns on the field.
yeah,
and-
but all kind. So he hired Pete Gray, who had one arm, to
Pitcher.
He was he a pitcher? I think he was a
We did-
pitcher.
That was Jim
Yeah.
Abbott,
Yes, that's
who won the Cy Young Award.
That's right.
Who?
Jim Abbott had one
One arm.
Yeah, that's right. But in those days, it was a big deal that Pete Gray came in, and so it was the story of Pete Gray. And I was going to play. I was the jerk who gave him, all kinds of grief because he had one arm, and really an awful character. But my reading went really well because I can plug into awful character. It's
Really?
it's easy. Yeah, just be myself. And
Pretty
but
much.
I was required. He was an outfielder, And so
you were required to show your
the
your
guy
mad skills in
who
the
was
outfield.
casting, I mean, it was directing, said, "Look, I really want you for this part, but I got to know if can you play?" And I went, "Can I play? Of course I can play." And so I had to go out to a field one day. It was me and Sean Penn's brother,
Chris?
Chris Penn.
Chris
yeah,
Penn. Chris
And-
Penn.
and we were out there.
Sean Penn,
Yep,
the father,
Leo,
Leo
Penn.
Penn.
directed me on Barnaby Jones.
Barnaby Jones. There you go.
Buddy Epps.
So we were.
That's my big dropping name
Yeah.
guy. One of
Yeah.
them.
So anyway, I'm in the outfield, and he's hitting me balls, and I played baseball for several years, but I played first base, so I can't run, and
I'd like to see you run.
no, it's bad.
Is it?
And yeah,
I've seen you run.
we want me to run now.
There's something about you running.
It's not
that is
right.
strangely like data.
Yeah,
It's like this part of the data is fabulous, but some of the other stuff was.
not so good. Yeah,
I always thought that was a choice.
it was. So I hit first. I had and I hit fine.
Yeah.
I hit from both sides of the plate because I'm a lefty
really?
and I could hit
could hit
right or
right.
left. Yeah.
Nice. That's a
But
valuable
very
skill.
valuable.
But then when he
skill, especially for
started
a
to
pinch
hit
hitter.
balls to me in the outfield,
Yeah.
Yuck.
it was just I caught one. I couldn't believe I caught it, but it was laughable. And he told me, well, this isn't going to work out. But he said, because you really have to look like a real ball player. And he said, but you know what? Don't worry. I'm going to cast you in my next film. And but I mean, who knows? I don't know if the guy ever worked again because I never heard from him again.
Well, they hired a stunt double for me for some of the baseball. I mean, I could catch, I could run the bases. I learned how to hook slide. I could only do a head first slide. I learned how to hook slide, but I couldn't throw. I did not have a cannon. And Ronnie, he played left field and then center field.
He had a famous.
Yeah, famous arm. So we shot all of that. Most of the baseball we shot before he was paroled to the custody of Billy Martin and the Detroit Tigers. He learned how to play baseball on the inside of Statesville Penitentiary, and so we shot in a prison. And one of the guys that was there, I forget what he was in there for, was a terrific stunt photo double for me, and he had a
One of
cannon.
the prisoners?
Yeah. Which was great.
So you were shooting in a real prison,
We shot in a real prison
as you do.
whenever possible. Yeah.
I was trying to lead you towards dummy to mention
Paul
Sorvino.
Sorvino. Yeah, whom I loved. I loved Paul Sorvino.
you remember
Great
him
guy.
when he was on our show?
I do.
Yeah, he
I
played a
do.
Klingon. He played Worf's brother in some way.
Was he?
Yeah,
Was it
I
that a
believe
Klingon
so.
character? Yeah, I guess so.
He was.
I remember him slicing garlic in my favorite movie in Goodfellas.
He told me a story about
Fascinating actor.
Goodfellas.
And a good guy.
Yeah,
People liked him.
absolutely.
Yeah.
He actually, Paul was a really fascinating guy because he
He
asked.
I always felt like he thought Star Trek was beneath him.
Well,
Did you get that vibe?
yeah, kind of, but he was good, and
Yeah.
he was very good on the show. He was
Sure.
a good actor. But he came to my trailer one day, and he said, "Hey, could I use your phone?" And I said, "Yeah." And he was on the phone, and then I came in, and he said, he just hung up. He says, "I'm doing a new show. I'm replacing Raymond Burr in Perry Mason because
He
Raymond
did the last.
Well,
Perry
Raymond
Mason.
Burr had passed away, and Paul was was replacing him, but he was not playing Perry Mason. He was playing an associate of his or something like that. And he said, he says, he says, I read the script, and he says, the guy, he says he could sing, he was handsome, women loved him, he could cook. He goes, oh my God, it's me. Well, clearly.
He had a lovely voice. Beautiful.
Oh, he
Beautiful.
was
Beautiful.
He was a professional opera singer.
Opera
He
singer,
quit
yeah.
acting for a while to be an opera singer. But yeah, good guy, Paul. And Mira is a wonderful woman
Yes,
too.
she
His
is.
daughter, Mira. Yeah.
Yes, she is.
You're a professional singer.
I have sung professionally in the past. I don't know if I'll ever do that again.
Really?
I don't know. I haven't sung in years.
That's ridiculous.
Well,
You do have a great voice, Spine.
well, thank
You didn't show it off on the Reading Rainbow
I did not.
Intro.
Well, that's why I think we should redo it. 'Cause I'd like to do it
a
in
proper
C.
version of that, and then we can cut to him coming in.
Exactly.
Given the nature of this show, I feel compelled to go back to Mira Sorvino
Yeah,
for
sure.
just
Go,
a moment
please.
because
That's the idea.
because I did do a movie called Parallel Lives. It was a Showtime movie. It was one of those experimental movies where
There's two versions. I mean, there's a sequel to it too.
I think Parallel Lives. Parallel Lives was the sequel to a previous effort that was done in very much the same way, kind of a structure, and everybody improvised a great deal of the dialogue.
Wow.
So this
Something
was,
we were never allowed to do.
no. This was a story set at a college reunion, and featured a huge cast, including Jo Beth Williams,
Jo Beth. I went to high school with Jo Beth.
Mira Sorvino, Jenna Rollins, Ben Gazzara, Treat Williams, Jim Belushi.
Come on.
He's being judicious.
That was a choice. That was a
comic choice.
Well, Liza Minnelli.
Oh,
Wow. Good.
My
cast.
second favorite movie,
And
Cabaret.
who were you working with in particular?
I was the love interest of Ali Sheedy.
Oh, wow. Look at that.
John Hughes star.
Yes.
What a great career you've got.
I recently worked as the love interest of Molly Ringwald
Oh, you're
in
kidding.
a picture. So
Well, there you go.
I mean,
You're going all the way through
all the way
Breakfast
through the
Club, right?
well, yeah, through the Rat Pack or the Brat Pack.
Brat Pack. Yeah.
Yeah.
You haven't done anything with. I mean, you haven't had to be the love interest of Judd Nelson ever, have you?
Not lately, no.
Could happen still.
Yeah.
You're young. He's young.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, you've done a lot of
I've
stuff.
I've been so fortunate and blessed, and my life, as unlikely as it has seemed to me for a long time, my life has intersected with a lot of people that I have admired from afar. Some I got to know pretty well. Others just, close encounters and brief. Like people like George Benson, B.B. King, people that I really.
What about that great concert you took us into in Vegas?
Well, Stevie Wonder.
Well, that's an interesting story. Well, no, his bachelor party in Vegas.
Yes.
Oh, that was. What? We haven't heard that story
Wow.
in ages.
Wow.
Yeah.
You tell that story.
Yeah.
Scott.
Well, let me start with
It was at the Desert Inn when it was still the Desert Inn.
the Desert Inn Hotel in Vegas. LeVar wanted to have his bachelor party
This
in
is what
Vegas.
this show's about. Here's some dropping names.
Yeah. So let me start with. So I was best man in your first wedding, and
You were.
Yeah.
And the groomsmen were.
we're the away team. We're the groomsmen.
That's right.
Jonathan
Frakes,
Patrick, and
Michael Dorn.
Dorn.
Patrick Stewart.
yeah.
Yeah.
That was a great wedding.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And
With a
so
great reception.
LeVar wanted to have the bachelor party in Vegas, so we all booked the Desert Inn. I was doing a convention in Colorado, in Denver, and
You flew in from Denver?
I flew in from Denver
recall that.
because, but preceding me to appear in front of the audience at a panel was Francis Coppola, and yeah,
In
Francis
Denver?
Ford Coppola. And I'm looking at my watch and I'm going, I got to go. I got to get a plane to LeVar's wedding. I mean, a bachelor party. So somebody went out and they told Francis he had to get off. He was pitching Dracula. And so he came off and I said, I'm so sorry. I just have this. He said, hey, it's your crowd. It's okay with me.
Oh, it was a Star Trek convention.
Yeah. And, but it was a Comic-Con, I
Yeah.
guess. But maybe it was just Star Trek. I'm not sure. So I fly to Vegas, and playing that weekend in Vegas at the Desert Inn was, of course, Frank Sinatra. And it was a dream come true that we were all going to hopefully see. So we went over to see if we could get tickets to Sinatra's show that night, and it was completely sold out. And we were like, oh, wow, I wish we could. Anyway, we're hanging out outside the ballroom where he performs, and this guy comes out. I think he was one of the musicians in the band, and he recognized us. He said, "Oh my God, what are you guys doing here?" He said, "Well, it's LeVar's bachelor party, and we really wanted to see." He says, hold on," and he went inside, and he came back. He says, "The old man wants you to come. There'll be a table for you all," and
It was like a scene from a movie. They ushered us down to this booth
Yeah.
that was like
It was like the Goodfellas.
yeah, it was like the Goodfellas.
Yeah.
They ushered us to this wonderful booth,
and we saw Sinatra perform.
and and they delivered a bottle of
There was
champagne.
champagne at the table.
spectacular.
It was like it was unbelievable.
And his son was leading the band.
Yeah, Frank Jr.
Sinatra
was conducting, as he did at that point in Sinatra's career,
And he was a friend of Roddenberry's.
and he was a friend of the Roddenberrys.
And neighbor.
Exactly. And this is, Frank Jr., who, I was just listening to the Sinatra channel the other night, and it was a whole album of Frank Jr., and I was shocked at how good he was as a singer.
As a singer,
Really?
Yeah, he could swing like Frank. His voice is reminiscent of Frank Sr., but it's a little higher, and just the bottom's not quite the same. But I thought, boy, he's good. He was good. But we go backstage after the show because we were told you're going to meet Frank Sinatra afterwards. And by the time we got back, he was gone. And but Frank Jr. was still there, and he wanted to meet us.
Boy, did he.
And we all went in, and we talked to him for a while. And
a
Frank,
while.
A while. We watched him take his clothes off and his boots
that's
and
true.
change.
But he was Frank was God love him. He was a kind of a slightly unhappy guy. He was dour.
I think that's fair. I
You
think
know,
that's fair.
he because I mean, you know what? He probably had the most difficult junior attached to his name
In
of
history.
anyone in history.
Yeah.
To be, I mean, because the other one I could even compare him to is JFK Jr., who managed to kind of overcome being a junior.
Absolutely,
did
I
he?
believe he did.
Well, kind of. And I mean, he had a real, I think he was going to totally do it at some point.
Right.
But Frank Jr. was a bit, he was just, he'd had a tough life.
He was
and
talented and smart.
very smart.
But his father was Frank Sinatra.
Right, his dad was Frank Sinatra. So it was me and Jonathan and Dorn and you.
Yep.
And we're all backstage, and we come out afterwards, the four of us, and Johnny says, "God, he's very dour. He's kind of down." I go, "Yeah, he was really seems very unhappy." And LeVar said, "Yeah, I can't believe it." Dorn says, "Hey, nice guy, huh?"
He'll never live that moment down.
That is who Michael is.
That is Dorn.
Yeah, our buddy.
That is Dorn.
Anyway, that was an incredible experience.
That was a great night.
Your bachelor party.
We've had some times, some good ones.
No doubt.
I have a favorite memory from a con with you that I've never forgotten, where we were in Tulsa together. And we went to the casino. And maybe we'd had a couple of drinks, maybe we hadn't. But LeVar was hitting. We were at the blackjack table, and he's hitting, and he's hitting, and he's hitting. And then he won $3,000.
Yeah.
And he stuck his feet in the bench.
In the
of
rungs,
chair,
yeah,
in the
the
rung
rungs
of
of
the
the
chair,
chair.
and
Yeah.
stood up and announced to all of Tulsa and this entire thing, "That's how Kunta rolls!" All the white people turned and looked. It was clear.
I was
they
having
didn't
a good
know
night.
You were having a good night.
having a good night.
And
always have a good night at the table.
Yeah, you're
I don't
good
know
at the
how that
tables.
is, but
he and Dean Devlin.
Dean Devlin too.
Devlin
Knows
has
how to, he knows how to play craps. But we had to leave the casino
we
at the right time.
yes. You always know when to walk away.
That's the thing.
That's the
you
thing.
know?
That's the thing.
Yeah. I
was
usually know because I'm broke. It's time to walk
him.
away.
You need to really identify the point of departure before you get to broke.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It used to be a regular thing when we did the Vegas convention.
Absolutely. We all
Lena
used to
loved
go
the
out.
table.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's true.
After a dinner. Now we want to go to
go to
bed.
Exactly.
Because we have to get up and schmooze the next morning.
Yeah, that's the beauty of this show. I was saying it's kind of interactive show with the kids at home.
This one.
Yeah,
The one we're doing now.
yeah, because like
It's at home.
yeah, because when we're like telling a story or something, and suddenly we dry up and can't think of a word, the kids at home can fill in the blanks, and it becomes interactive.
Or they haven't heard of
Exactly.
some of the people we've just mentioned.
Exactly.
We need a younger audience. You have a younger audience.
I do. Yeah,
You have generations of people who've.
I do. Yeah.
You have 3 franchises around which you are identified, for which you are identified, which I think is astounding, and I'm very proud to be your friend and ally. Is there a moment in your day? Is there, first of all, is there one of the 3 that gets the most vibe out in public?
These days, it's definitely Reading Rainbow.
Right.
It's Reading Rainbow because of the wide swath of people who, the show was on for 26 years.
There was them raised on it, and
Yeah.
then their kids now
That's correct.
aware of it.
That's right.
Right.
That's right. When I think about it, when I really look at it, I have determined that, I've been able to portray the Black experience in America from our enslavement to the stars.
I know.
Through Roots and Star Trek. And LeVar, the Reading Rainbow guy, is in the middle of that continuum. And that's no small thing to contemplate. I genuinely believe that I know why I'm here,
Yeah.
and storytelling and a love of the written word and literature are all a part of that purpose. That purpose. And everything I've ever done in the service of literature and the promotion thereof is in honor of my mom, Irma Jean.
Yeah.
The best.
Yeah,
Another English teacher like my dad.
that's right.
Yeah.
I was reminded in the middle of that about the revelation on
Oh,
the gates. That's a great story.
finding your roots.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you see that?
Yeah. I
Yeah.
did.
After, not knowing a lot about my father's side of the family and, believing that all of my impetus towards education and literacy came from my mom, from Irma, to discover that on my father's side of the family, there are teachers as well. I have ancestors on my father's side of the family who started a school.
Yeah.
It was just such a powerful revelation, and what it said to me was that there is no way I could have turned out any other way, right?
Right.
That I was destined for this life, and that on what I call a cellular level as opposed to cellular level, this is what I came here to do.
Yeah. No question. And in the midst of all of that,
Yeah.
No, I was referring to the great-great-grandfather.
Oh, well, that was an even larger
Revelation.
Yeah.
That I have white ancestry. Yeah, that I have a first cousin, Jeffrey Hardy,
Who you've been connected
who
with.
I have connected with, and we have become very, very close in the last couple of years, and that, I mean, he has taken me to the piece of land, the Braswell Farm, which used to be the Braswell Plantation in Whitakers, North Carolina, where my great-great-grandmother lived, and it's where she met his great-great-grandfather, Henry Louis Dixon, and they had a child, and that child was my great-grandmother's son, Willis Ward, my maternal grandfather.
It's fabulous.
amazing. Well, and your cousin,
Jeffrey.
Jeffrey, was he aware of it before that show?
Well, he was. Yes, he was. He actually contacted me through Letitia, my older sister. He's an amateur genealogist, my cousin Jeffrey. So he had contacted Letitia through one of those, DNA services, and Letitia said, I don't know about this guy, but would you check him out? And I did, and he felt like he was legit, but I couldn't be sure. I said, listen.
Well, this was before the Gates
This
show.
was before the Gates show, and I said, "Listen, can we just put a pin in this because I've just been asked to spit in a test tube by the Henry Louis Gates folks,
Perfect.
and if you could just be patient until the results come back, I would appreciate it." And after the show, after we taped the reveal, and Letitia had come down from Northern California for that, we got on the phone and called our cousin Jeffrey to tell him that he was, in fact, correct. We are related, and we made a promise that we would meet as soon as possible. And now we're genuinely, legitimately a part of one another's lives. Crazy, huh?
It really is.
It is.
When you're asked to go out and do your on the speaking tours,
Mm-hmm.
do you have a prompt that you're given, or are you hired to encourage whatever you're feeling in the?
The way my speaking engagements work these days, I don't write speeches specific to a request
Right.
anymore. What I offer as a product is a fireside chat, and the client can choose from whatever aspect of my life and or career that suits their needs and the sort of impact they want to have on their audience. Generally, we end up talking about all three.
So it's an interview.
It is.
Generally.
That's right. That's right.
Sort of like this,
Yeah, without the bell. Yeah.
without or the familiarity.
Yeah. It's like this, only funny, right? Yeah.
You do funny.
You
Never cut funny.
never.
No,
ever,
no.
ever.
Although, part of my memory of you, before I knew you, my admiration for you really came from your work on Pyramid.
You were a Pyramid fan.
Yeah.
The $25,000 Pyramid.
Yeah,
with
you
Dick
won
Clark.
some big money for some people.
I did. I pride myself on
You have the highest number.
Billy Crystal, the shortest amount of time, but I'm number 2.
$170,000.
I don't. Well, that the 137.5 was the highest total. That was from the Weakest Link, 137.5.
37.5. That's like $13 now in today's money.
In today's market. Yeah.
But you have a.
I love game shows. and
You have a game.
I
show.
have a game show.
Yeah.
Now, did that come as a result of Jeopardy not working out?
It did.
And it was a gift from
Absolutely.
a higher power.
In fact, I believe that
The game show is Trivial Pursuit.
Trivial Pursuit on the CW. I believe that my whole desire around Jeopardy was, in fact, to get me to the point where Trivial Pursuit came to me and said, "We're turning this IP into a game show, and we don't want anybody else to be our host but you." And what Trivial Pursuit has given me that Jeopardy never could have done is my own game show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Alex Trebek.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Alex Trebek really put his imprint on that show.
Yes.
And everybody knows and feels what that is like. And following in that,
That would have been a
imprint
different
would have been
animal. Yeah.
would have not. I never would have been able to do that comfortably. This is my own show, and I get to invent it, and have had the opportunity to invent this show in my own way. And
Who produced it? This was,
it's the Lionsgate.
yeah.
Lionsgate.
It wasn't Ava DuVernay.
No.
Didn't she bring you a pitch for another show as well?
She wanted to do Ava DuVernay wanted to do a game show with me, and at the time, it was undeveloped. She just, let's do something together, but Trivial Pursuit was bringing me IP, known IP, and I felt like that was the way to go.
Yeah. Even better, you shoot the show in London,
Yes, we do.
which is
That
fantastic.
blows my mind.
I know.
That it's financially easier,
More
to
cost
shoot in
effective.
London,
Cost
more
effective.
cost effective.
They bring
To
it's
fly
an
you from
American
LA.
show.
Yes.
They bring American guests to
Right.
London
That's right.
to be the contestants.
Sufficient enough to populate contestants for 2 shows.
Right.
My show and Craig Ferguson doing Scrabble, their companion.
Craig Ferguson.
Craig
He's a
Ferguson.
good guy.
Love Craig.
Craig's
He's
Love
funny
Craig.
as hell.
Yes, he
He
is.
had a really hot podcast for a while.
Did he?
Yeah. He asked me to be on it. And
What happened
What
there?
happened?
I got sick. No, I couldn't do it. I don't know. I couldn't do it, and then he couldn't do it when I could do it. And
You didn't
it
pass
happen.
on it, did you?
Huh?
You
No,
didn't pass
I
on
did not pass. I love Craig Ferguson. I would love to do his show.
Here's a getting sick story.
Yeah.
I was asked to come in and read for a certain director who had a very good career as an actor. And I was intimidated. And instead of going to the meeting, I feigned sickness because I didn't know that I could face my hero, Sidney Poitier, and live up to what I felt would be, I don't know, anything close to anyone that he would want to work with.
Yeah. I've told you about Sidney Poitier.
No, but I hadn't heard that one. You go now.
Well, I used to live in Beverly Hills, and my next door
Oliver
neighbor. Oliver Sholem. No, that wasn't the house that burned down. But I was in Beverly Hills, and in the house next door to me was this. You could ring the bell forever on this because the house was owned and occupied for 3 months out of the year by Leslie Brickus and his wife Evie. Leslie Brickus wrote Goldfinger. He wrote Victor Victoria. He wrote
Roar of the Grease Paint, Smell of the Crowd.
Anthony Newley was his partner for a long time. They wrote shows together.
Which means Send in the Clowns.
No, that's Sondheim.
That's Sondheim.
Oh, Sondheim.
But anyway, Leslie and Evie lived next door to us, and when he wasn't there, he rented to. When I moved in, Roger Moore was living next door. At a certain point, Tommy Lee Jones was living next door, and I got close to all of them. But anyway, one night, Leslie and Evie invited Lori and myself to go to dinner at his house, and so we went, and we were hoping he brought a new chef from France, where he also lived for 3 months, and. So we were hoping it was just Leslie and Evie and Lori and me because we knew them and we'd be comfortable. But we walked in and the table was set for 6. And we're like, oh, God. So a little while, there's a knock at the door, a doorbell rings, and Leslie says, would you mind answering the door, Brent? And I went to the door, opened the door, and Sidney Poitier is standing in front of me. That was one of those moments where I thought, I can't believe this. I can't believe I'm breathing this air. I can't believe I'm in this. And he was such a wonderful guy.
Warm, hope, and
so nice. It was the week it was the Academy Awards were coming up in 2 or 3 days, and he was being given an honorary Oscar. But he had won already, of course, for Lilies of the Field. But he was getting his second. He said, would you mind, he's so just gentlemanly and kind. Would you mind if I read you the speech that I'm going to do at the Oscars?
I don't think I've ever heard this part of the story.
It was unbelievable. And he read this beautiful speech, and he said, what do you think? And
he had it in his pocket?
Yeah. And he read it, and he says, what do you think? And I went, well, no, I didn't say that. We were, of course, like,
the man, he could write. I mean, not only was he,
he was brilliant.
Yeah, he
but
was.
Then he said to me, this is how humble this man was. He said, at the time, Cary Grant was doing a one-man show, and he would do, an evening with Cary Grant, and he would come out and talk about his life and do, question and answer and stuff like that. And so Sidney said, I'm thinking about doing what Cary Grant's doing and telling my life story and taking, he says, do you think anyone will come? You've got to be kidding. Come on. And unfortunately, he never did.
Wish he had done.
Yeah.
Wish he had done. Hey, is anybody keeping count of the bells? I
Yeah.
mean, how do we know?
Yes, we do have a count.
We do.
We do have a count.
do.
That'll be I think your episode's already leading in the bell count.
Well, I'm the first guest.
Yes,
Well,
but
yeah.
Ken.
So far,
I
you
wanna-
are far and away my favorite guest.
Yeah, I feel the same way.
Well,
and we
yeah.
haven't dropped one of the greatest big names in your
Oeuvre. The LeVar Burton oeuvre. Who is it?
Barack Obama and Michelle.
The
Come on.
Obamas.
Yeah, the Obamas. Yeah, met them both. Read children's stories with Michelle.
Thank you.
On a military
Your
base.
cool factor is off.
You know what I think LeVar should have to do? Can you name anyone you haven't met?
Well, I mean, I can name plenty of people that I haven't met, but I can say that I've met a lot of people.
Yeah.
Met John Wayne. Carol Burnett, Lucille Ball, Desi Arnaz. I mean, Mary Tyler Moore. And those were all on the same night at the People's Choice Awards 1977, when the entire cast of Roots was introduced. So the cast of Roots, Lou Gossett Jr., John Amos, Ben Vereen, who was an idol of mine. You know my Ben Vereen story, right? When I was a sophomore, when I was in my second year at St. Pius X Seminary in outside of Sacramento, California, I took a cross-country trip by car with some of the seminarians and one priest, Father Victor McAvoy, who was our driver ed teacher, and he also was a religious studies teacher. For me, the point of getting from California to New York was to go to the Imperial Theater and see Ben Vereen in Pippin. We drive across country. We land in New York. This is 1970.
I remember.
1972. I go to the box office. I buy a ticket to see the show. The show is wonderful. I wait 2 hours for Ben to come down to the backstage door, and I took a picture. He signed my program. I shook his hand. I said, "Mr. Vereen, my name is LeVar Burton. I really hope to work with you one day." That was 1972, and in May of 1976, I met Ben again with the Polaroid picture that we had taken that day together. My life has been kissed by God.
Yeah.
You know, I cannot believe the great good fortune and grace that I have been given in this life.
Well, that's sort of what, for me, I'm sure to a degree for all of us, that one of the reasons I wanted to be in show business, not just because I wanted to express myself in ways that you can't in daily life and play other characters and do that sort of thing, but I wanted to be I wanted to be in the big leagues so I could meet and work with, or at least meet,
led you to this podcast.
my heroes. Yeah, and so that's what this podcast finally comes full circle. That's what it's about. And like you, we've all been really lucky to get to rub shoulders with
The
people.
greats.
Yeah, people.
And we're grateful.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
That's just one of the great.
But are we
joys.
worthy?
Are we worthy?
I like to say that gratitude is the grace that makes God grow in our lives. Can I get a bell for God? I'm just saying.
Why not? I mean,
I'm in.
I think 2 bells for God. There we go. Who have you worked with that you would think goes back furthest in show business?
Ooh.
That is like I'll give you my example.
Okay.
Probably number one for me is Edward Everett Horton.
Ooh.
I worked with Edward Everett Horton, who, thank you,
Right.
who was, of course, in a lot of the Astaire Rogers musicals, but he goes back to I think he just missed The Silence, but
Did a Tonight Show with Johnny Carson,
yeah,
and one of the guests was Mae West.
Mae West.
No.
Oh
West.
my
Shit.
God! Mae West.
I met Mae West.
Well, that's big.
Didn't
Mae
that,
West.
That's great.
Yeah.
Because Mae West goes back to theater. She went to jail, but for one of her shows, they closed it and took her to jail. Yeah, because it was obscene.
Was she on the just post vaudeville circuit?
It was just post vaudeville. Yeah, amazing. And I guess the other question would be one that I'm sure you won't answer, nor will anyone I ask this question of. But who's the worst person you ever worked with? Can you say the name?
I can't.
Yeah, no, I don't think so. But
I had a legitimate question that I wanted to ask you as a fellow director. Are there things that you stole from other directors and do you have a routine that happens the night before you go into your first day of shooting?
I've stolen a lot. I stole an Action Please from you, which is such an elegant and and inclusive way of calling action.
Thank you.
It has become a signature for me as well as it has for you.
Yeah.
And I'm grateful. I love that. Action, please.
Yeah.
Action, please.
Have you ever stolen anything from the set? I know. I know one thing in particular.
Oh, from Star Trek?
Do I
Yeah.
have to answer that
You
question?
don't have to answer it because we
Yeah,
you know.
yeah. I have the visor that I
No
wore
way.
every day. Oh
How
yeah.
about the day when Chooch would come out with that box?
Yep.
Charlie
box.
Russo. And the box would open and the visor would come out. And Chooch would screw it into LeVar's temples.
Yep.
There's a good Trek reference. And we watched that happen.
Countless
And then
numbers of
and you
times.
withheld from us the pain and the anxiety that was caused by the fact that your peripheral vision was gone.
Yeah.
So we would, I mean, you were a mensch about that, and finally convinced them to put the ocular implants
Yeah.
out so it could see those gorgeous, gorgeous eyes. I think in Insurrection, where we were
Six
up on the
seasons and a movie.
hill. 7
7 seasons and a movie later.
before they.
We did a particular thing on Next Generation into the movies, into Picard, which we started in the first season, and we used to crack each other up so much doing this. But whenever we would look over at each other, we would go. And you could see it in dozens of
Yeah.
episodes,
Absolutely.
movies. You could cut together a movie of LeVar and I going,
It helped the scene.
yeah,
It helped the
the
scene.
big nod, exactly.
I used to have Marina as my secret weapon because she was such a great listener and acting partner. And if I was in the editing room and I thought, God, this is painful. What the? Oh, let's see what Marina's doing.
Cut to Marie.
Did you have one of those?
Cut to Marie.
Boom. What's your first memory of coming to work on Next Gen?
Well, I met Patrick. I didn't know who he was. I thought, oh my God, this interesting guy. You know, it's going to. I already knew LeVar was going to do the show. I thought that was really cool.
And you and I had known each other from doing
We had met.
play readings.
We did a
for-
play reading before
Zuck,
that.
yeah.
And when what they were saying that they thought you were going to be on the show, and I thought, oh, not him.
Yeah.
But then you got it, and
You had to adjust.
yeah, I had to.
They couldn't. You were hoping it was going to be Billy Campbell.
I was hoping for Billy Campbell, and I was hoping.
Who was
actually-
your Wesley Snipes was up for your part? Was that right?
Yes.
And-
Reportedly.
Yeah.
Reggie Jackson.
Reggie Jackson, Wesley.
Come on,
Wesley,
Wesley Snipes.
Wesley
You got Billy
Snipes.
Martin and Reggie Jackson into your interview from two different angles. How about that?
Oh my
One of the
gosh!
great feuds of all time.
Wow.
They threw shit at each other in the dugout.
Is that
they
right?
He took him out of the game for not hustling, and Jackson went off on him, and they threw shit. It was great. It's all in.
After all these years, or all those years, we came back together again. All of us on the Picard
Season
series.
3.
Season 3
Which
of
is
Picard.
really, I think, for me, my most favorite iteration of us.
I couldn't agree more. I think Terry Metalis
Yes,
gets a shout out
absolutely.
for not only organizing that, but gathering how important it was to
Yes.
talk to us individually about the 20 years. That
in between.
I think he knew that we were all friends for the whole time, but
Yeah.
from the
How we
characters.
saw the characters evolving over those couple of decades.
He did
Yeah.
a great job with that.
Yeah.
He
I
did.
mean, being together again was genuinely one of the highlights of my life.
Yeah, I couldn't agree.
Because
more.
we had assumed that ship had sailed, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
That was never going to happen.
Right.
And it wasn't just a reunion show; it was a show in which the characters had purpose, and trying to bring down Amanda Plummer's character.
Right.
That was. I mean,
Right.
we all had a reason to be there. We all contributed to the story.
Lot. Yeah.
Earlier, we said the story was important. Remember,
The story's important.
it's important.
Yeah, and one thing about it though, it seemed very familiar. It wasn't like, oh, this is so weird to be back together again after all these years.
What about walking onto the bridge of the D?
Yeah,
the
walking
fat
on the-
one.
Yeah,
I was with you and Marino in the car. I've told this story at conventions because I had been directing it the week before, and I came, and we were called on the set from the makeup trailer, and it was built on a separate set. And I went in early, or I went in ahead of you two, and you came through the door, and you saw the bridge, and you both quelled, both of you. And then the characters were asked to open the door on the turbolift and quell the same way. And it was such a great memory that clearly, that's how important that was to us. And then, of course, that's how important it was to the characters.
The characters.
And it was the same emotional expression. Great moment. It made people cry that moment.
One of the things I loved about working on that set was the impact that the set and us being together on that set had on Patrick. Because he had been working, this was the second series he'd done in a row, right, of this show. And he was exhausted.
Yes,
there was,
he was.
no two buts about it. He was dead dog tired.
And he was glad to have us
He
with
was
him.
glad to have us. I could really,
could
I
feel
saw him rejuvenate a little
And
bit.
he went back into his chair.
Well, nothing was different about the way we behaved with
That's
each
correct.
other.
That's
it was
absolutely
all
right.
exactly
Yeah.
And
like
nothing was different about the set, the color of
Yeah.
the carpet and the chair and the angle on the ramp up to Dorn's space. I mean, everything about it.
Well, people say, well, was it just odd being back together? Well, we see each other all the time,
Yeah.
so that wasn't odd at all. But we hadn't seen each other in costume.
in our
You
space.
know, we
The
were in our
spaces were
spacesuits.
fabulous.
Faces were great.
Oh, these
God
were-
bless Bob
that was
Blackman.
something I was going to ask
But-
you about stealing.
Yeah.
Didn't you
Oh
steal-
my God! I was trying to steal mine, and two of them had already gone.
He took one, and Marina took one.
Yeah.
And they said you can't take them. They're a couple
They
$1,000.
made you
I said,
send them
"What-
back.
Who's going
Well,
to
they
wear
wanted
it?"
you to pay how much for it? $500 or
No,
something?
$1,000.
No,
$1,500.
Yeah, they didn't offer me an opportunity. I would have paid for it in a heartbeat.
Yeah. Well,
They
I
just sent somebody to
They
my
pick it up.
house.
On
To
the
pick
They
it
sent
up.
somebody to my house.
I said the same thing. I'll pay for it.
when we finished doing Next Generation, the night we finished, we were all going to meet at a restaurant, your friend's restaurant.
Yes.
and
Morton's.
yeah,
Arnie
Morton's.
Morton's.
And I asked Mary Howard, who I adore, can I have one of my uniforms? They had 17 uniforms for each of us, and I said, "Can I have one of my uniforms?" And she said, "No." And I went, "Why?" And she said, "Because they belong to Paramount." She was rightly so. She said, "No, I can't give that to you." And I was like, walked into Morton's, and Jonathan and Gates are both there in their uniforms. They'd walked out of the place in their uniforms. And
Is that true?
yes. Yes. Do you still have it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Better to ask for forgiveness.
I got mine from one of the movies. I think it was Insurrection. I took that uniform, and of course I paid for it because it's burned up now. But
fine.
yeah,
What a pleasure.
There are a few things I enjoy more than hanging out with you guys.
I know, and we get to do it on camera today.
yeah, amazing.
I hope this show is successful beyond your wildest imaginings. Sincerely.
Well, if just like 1 out of 10 can be this smooth,
Yeah.
and this,
I think this has gone very, very nicely.
I feel good about it. Yeah.
Good content.
Bertie,
Yeah, man. It was a blast. Dropping names with y'all.
I think you have
Set a high bar.
broken.
Very
Yes, and
high.
you've
I
broken
think
the seal.
bar is high.
Yeah.
I've thrown the gauntlet down.
Yeah.
I invite any and all who pretend to the throne to come in and
We made the right call here, Brent.
Oh, no doubt.
We made absolutely the right call.
Yeah.
Thank you, my friend.
Thanks.
My
I
ally.
appreciate it.
love you guys.
I love you.
Butterfly in the sky.
Butterfly in the sky.
I can go twice as high.
I can go twice.
Take
as
a
high.
look.
Take
Take a look. It's in a book. Reading Rainbow. Oh, hey, you're still here.
Yeah, the episode's over.
You did it. You made it all the way to the end.
I mean, you can go now. Really, there are other videos.
Yeah. They're right there on the screen. Helpful little rectangles.
No one's going to be offended if you leave.
In fact, we encourage it.
Strongly.
Yeah.
Since you're stuck around.
Here's a bonus clip. I haven't seen you since Thanksgiving.
Right.
I had Thanksgiving dinner
I know.
at the Burton's house.
I heard it was fancy pants.
It was
Fancy,
unbelievably
but
good.
fulfilling.
Beautiful chef.
Well,
And beautiful.
well,
I saw the pictures that
Stephanie-
Mika posted of the table,
Yeah.
which was
To
spectacular.
begin with, Stephanie's an incredible chef.
Yeah.
Couple that with Chef Jet Tila, who does Thanksgiving with these guys.
For years now, they have co-created Thanksgiving dinner.
fantastic.
Steph does the sides and Jet does the proteins.
The salmon,
and Allie, Jeff's wife, is
Allie's-
a pastry chef.
She's
so
a great
she
chef.
does a lot of the desserts.
Yeah, the dessert was amazing too. And they,
Anyway,
yeah.
you enjoyed.
Oh my God, he made a salmon for me that was unbelievable.
Pescatarian.
Yeah, and he made it just the way I like it, which was it was such a treat. The whole thing was a treat.
It was lovely having you at the table.
Thank you.
You and your family.
Good to be there. Good to be there.
You're next year, Jonathan. You and Jeannie.
I'm already hungry.
Levartis, Robert, Martin, Burton.
Junior.
No, when I took the name Martin, as a Catholic, you get
Right.
confirmation, you get confirmed, and you take on a new name. And for me, that was Martin. There was only one. Well, he wasn't even a saint,
Right.
Martin de Porres. He's a saint now, but he was a blessed when I was confirmed. And being the theatrical minded person that I was and still am, I thought it would be cool to change the I to a Y.
I love it. And we're talking about Levartis,
Levartis.
Robert Martin Burton.
That's it. That's our guy. Here he is.
Levartis, Robert Martin,
Martin
Burton. That's
Yeah.
plenty of names. That's actually could be 4 first names.
LeVar,
Levartis,
Levartis,
LeVar,
Levartis,
Levartis could be
Birdie, Ally.
ally.
Martin. I think I'm gonna start calling him Martin.
I like the Y.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I do too. Why? Because we love you.
Take a look.
It's in a book.
Reading
Rainbow.
You're never going to live that down.